Hello, welcome to the program. My name is Dr. Bradley, and with me here I am with Sheikh Dawood Malenga. We're going to talk about marriage. As you all know how important marriage is, and talking about it is so important because you can learn one or two things, okay? We've been talking about several subjects, and today we've got this very special topic, and I want you to pay attention to the answers and suggestions in this discussion. Sheikh Dawood, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me, Doc, and hello to the viewers.
Wonderful. Great. So today's major topic, Sheikh Dawood, is when people get married, okay? There's a life that they have to live after that. And not so many people talk about the life that they're supposed to live after that. Do you have anything you can say concerning a life that people live when they just married?
Okay, thank you very much for that question.
Welcome.
It's very, very important. But I would like to take you a bit back, when a person gets married, especially in Africa, they make marriage very, very expensive.
Okay.
While they're not even doing anything, you understand?
Yeah.
So post marriage, post the wedding, you find that the families, they start struggling. They have no food, they have nowhere to get the money from.
Exactly.
So it's all about planning. It's all about planning, and we lack that in our communities.
Wonderful. That's a remarkable statement from Sheikh Dawood. Sheikh Dawood actually says that many people, when they are planning to get married, okay, they want to have a wedding, for example, and they're going to borrow so much money, or maybe use their own money, not borrowed money, but use their own money, spend so much money just to get together. Now, there's a life after that. So they'll get into maybe what I would call trouble because they have to raise the money to pay back. What you're saying, right?
Yes.
Or maybe families start helping, they start struggling, their lifestyle changes. That's exactly what Sheikh Dawood is saying. So we learned something from that, right?
Yes.
That if you are getting married, you should actually be capable. Okay, what can you tell someone watching right now? What should they do if they have no money but they want to marry? What should they do?
Okay, so Islamically, our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the best marriage is the easiest one. In terms of how you handle yourselves, how you prepare. Don't overburden yourself. Just do as much as you can. Above that, don't stress yourself.
Will you please say that again? When you say the best marriage,
the best marriage is the easiest one. Not the most luxurious marriage, not the most lavish marriage. No, the easiest one. And the best dowry is the easiest one too. I'm sure you have been in South Africa. In South Africa, you find that 90% of people, they are not married.
But they are staying together. Yeah, they
yes.
cohabit. They have got kids, 20 years, 15
Yes.
years, exactly.
Yes.
In South Africa, he's talking about, it's a nice country, all right, but there's this situation where men refuse to be committed. And they don't want a woman to say, okay, this is my husband. They don't want that title. They don't want that because of responsibilities. So what they're going to do is, they just stay with a woman for years, and they have 6 kids, but not doing their ceremony or marriage, nothing like that.
Yes, very, very important. So in South Africa, you find that marriage is very expensive. Very, very expensive. So you find that men, obviously there's no money, so they don't want to marry. They opt to be boyfriend and girlfriend.
Exactly.
So they can't manage, they can't handle the finances. So you find that it's hard for people to get married in South Africa.
Absolutely.
So this is coming everywhere in Africa, where people now, they are finding very hard, very difficult to get married. So we need to make it easy for people to get married. The dowry should be reasonable, not very, very expensive.
Wonderful.
And post-marriage, people, husband and wife, in most cases, they don't know their rights. Like me as a husband, I should know my rights.
Your rights in the union.
Yes. What I should expect from my wife, and how should I treat my wife. And also, my wife has her own rights. So the sooner they understand their rights, the easier their marriage will be.
Marriage will be.
Yes.
Wonderful. So he says that the sooner you understand your rights in a marriage, a wife and a husband, the easier that marriage will get. That's remarkable. That's remarkable. Sheikh Dawood, you've brought out several points, amazing points, and I'm sure people are watching and they're learning something right now. Now, the question I want to ask you is, can you define the rights? Can we define the rights? And when we define the rights, do they play both to Islam or Christian or general people? Do they function for both?
Okay, so they say in Arabic, there's a book called Al-Ashbah wal-Nadair. So there's a quote there, they say Al-Ma'ruf kal-Mahkum. Something which is practiced in the community, it becomes like a law.
Wow.
Al-Ma'ruf kal-Mahkum. So you find that
something that is practiced in a community. If something is practiced in a community, it becomes a law.
Yes.
Wow, as a statement, beautiful statement. So if something is talked about or acted upon in a community, means it's been accepted in the community, right? It becomes a law.
A law.
Okay.
So as long as it's not going against the will of God and the commandments of God, so everything is stated there in the Quran and in the Bible is there.
Wonderful.
So you find that me as a man in Islam, so my responsibility on my wife is to look after her,
Absolutely.
the bills, the hospital bills, to make sure that she's well looked after, and the accommodation and food, all the expenses which will come from her, it's on me. And also my wife, in Islam, women have more rights than men in marriage. So she only have one right to satisfy you. The rest, whatever she's doing, cooking for you, washing for you, this is just a favor she's doing for you.
That's in Islam.
In Islam.
I see.
And also, on me, for my wife, me looking after her family members, extended family members, is just a favor. It's not upon me to do that.
Wow. So
Yes.
all you have to do is look after her herself.
Because you married her.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful. That's a very great, remarkable statement there about our marriage. And it's very important that we learn something in marriage, okay? One of the things that people take lightly is actually marriage, okay? When you don't have much regard on these things we're talking about, they become casual to you. It's a problem, So don't take these things casual, which you're learning right now. Because if you're going into a certain house without enough knowledge how to get there, you could get hurt because you don't know what's there. But when you're informed how to get there, you are in the right path, is it?
Yes.
That is why we brought this program to you, that you can learn something special about marriage.
And the other point I would love to mention is when two people get married, usually, in many cases, they lack people to advise them. So you see, you find that the husband will get the advice from his best friends, of which maybe that person might be crushing on his wife, so he'll give him wrong advices. So for me as a husband, I need to talk to my father, my grandfather, or my sheikh, or in the case where the person is a Christian, the pastor, you look up to them for guidance. And similarly applies to a woman. She should have advice from her mother, her grandmother, and elderly people who will wish good for her. Not only a normal person who is just a friend, they're hanging around and they get advice from there. You find now they start having problems in their
Getting
marriage.
advice from a parent or a sheikh.
Sure.
Wow, you really raised a good point. Raising parents, you see, there is a message I taught one time about the destruction of our economies. It's on YouTube, you should check it. Where we have broken families, okay? Well, we've got parents who are not sober. I'm use the word that word sober. Parents who have got twisted minds, okay? He is a parent going out with a boyfriend to her daughter, okay? And it's a secret. Here is a father going out with a girlfriend to his son. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say. Because talking about advice, okay? So, is that parent like that kind of parent, is that parent fit to give advice?
Okay, that's a very, very good question.
Yeah.
Very good question. You must know that not everybody who's old is matured. Huh? Not everybody who's old is matured.
It's good upstairs.
Yes, good upstairs. And not everyone who is old has wisdom. So even when you are going to ask for advice, you have to look at the person, the characteristics. For example, I'll just give you an example. A person wants to quit beer, alcohol. He can't control himself. He's having challenges. Can you go and get advice to a person who is drinking himself? He can't give you a correct advice.
Absolutely no.
So you need to go to a person who you see this person has stable family.
Exactly.
He's a family man.
So meaning that if your parent doesn't have a family, may not give a very good advice, because this parent doesn't have a family, grew up without a family. Let's say a man's never married, or a man who's married is divorcee. He's lived that way his life. He may not be in a position to advise you to stay in your marriage. It's the same way if your mother is not married, she doesn't see the value of you remaining married. You get the point, right? So, in the end, you will end up like her, because that's who she is now. She cannot give you what she doesn't have. She'll give you what she is. So when you're crying, or your emotions, you're broken about a particular issue, she has a quick answer for that. A quick answer is that be alone, or come and stay with me here at home. Because that's what she's been doing. That's her experience. That's correct, right?
Yes, 100%.
So when you are going to ask for advice, choose the people, because the answers that will come will affect you. So you choose the person who's going to talk to you, because you don't want the person who's one-sided. You want a neutral person. That's correct, right?
Yes. 100%.
Yeah. So I'm just concluding on the point which you mentioned,
Yes, 100%.
about checking about the person, the parent, making sure you choose the right parent. Or if it's a sheikh that you're going to pick, or it's a pastor you're going to pick to give you advice, what kind of a man is he? You understand that? Or is he a kind of person you can trust? And integrity is one of them. You look at integrity, something like that.
Yes, 100%. And in our communities, you find that we are really struggling as African communities. The reason being is families are not no longer together, and there is no role models in our societies. You find each and every person has a problem. You find maybe you want to get advice from a certain person, they will give you advice based on selfish interest.
Wow.
They don't want.
You want to get advice, you go to a person, is it a parent or something?
Any person.
Anybody, your friend, or maybe just somebody you know, an elderly person, say, okay, give me an advice. Now they're going to give you that advice based on selfish intent. That's what you're saying, right?
Yes.
And again, we must be very careful with people who are bitter. It's very hard to know that this person is bitter, okay? Because they'll put a smile on their face and hide the bitterness inside. Now, bitterness is like cancer that spreads, okay? So when they are trying to talk to you, they release their bitterness back to you, you will discover that you are bitter like them. So if you're going to a person looking for help or advice, check the life of the person you are talking to. And when they start talking to you, you have a conscience to know, even when you are depressed, okay, to know the right information that is coming to you. You can tell that this person's advice is based on selfishness. You understand now? You can tell because you're open-minded and you want help. So it's telling you, or she's telling you, out of maybe selfish desires. So they are speaking out of selfish desires, they're telling you. Or because of what they went through in their lives, they're going to use that example. You see that? Because maybe there was a time this man didn't get back at his wife because the wife did this to him. So now you are gone there to ask this man, hey bro, tell me. Instead of telling you the best advice, he's going to tell you to respond to your wife in a manner he should have responded to his ex-wife according to what happened to him before. You see that?
Yes.
That's selfishness. He's not looking at you, he's looking at what happened to him before. If he had done this, things would have been like this. Now it's time to get back at whatever he was supposed to get back at, and he's going to use you.
100%.
You see that? Huh?
Yeah.
He's going to use you. So now you find that you are living a walk of a life of somebody, of the past of somebody. He's giving you based on his past advice, and you're responding like that. But you know better that your wife is not like that. You know better that your husband is not like that. But they're telling you this person is doing this because of this. But then when you think about it, but he's not like that, or she's not like that. You get the point?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Just recently, I think 2 days ago, I was having some discussion with our brothers there at the mosque. So he mentioned to me, which is a very interesting story related to what we are discussing now, that the uncle, you see, even your family members, you are not safe. So there was a youngster, he went to his uncle. He said there's a certain girl he wants to get married to. He likes her. So this story happened in Namibia. So the uncle said, no, you know, the brothers, the father's brother. He said, no, you can't get married to her. She's like this. You know, he started saying bad things about the girl. So if you want to get married, go back to South Africa and get married and come back to Namibia. So the person, because that is the uncle speaking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then he said, no, let me go to South Africa and look for my wife there. So when he went there, he came back after 2 weeks, he found the uncle got married to the same girl he was advising against. You see? So you should look properly whom you are getting advice from. It's very, very important.
That's sad.
Now.
Very sad story. Very sad. Hey, that's wonderful. That was Sheikh Dawood, amazing man and great words. And I'm sure you've learned a lot. Thank you so much for watching. Till then, keep living. I'll see you again in the next episode. Bye-bye.